Probably should. All righty. Welcome to Hello Chaos, the weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds and lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Every week, we talk to different founders from all different company, industry, stages, you name it. We've talked to them. We hear the real, the raw, the unbiased stories. And it's why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. And we drop new episodes every Sunday. Founders can listen to us on a Sunday afternoon as they get ready for the week ahead because we do drop a lot of great tips and techniques through our journeys that we've all been through. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip for WIP for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyperlocal media platforms that have been designed to inform, inspire, and create connections, everything to help founders succeed. Orange Whip is an all in one content hub for founders with fresh and engaging stories, curated calendars, and a local dynamic roadmap to navigate the local entrepreneurial ecosystems. We are in three areas of South Carolina today: the uplands, the uplands, upstate, Midlands, and the Low Country, with plans to expand in other cities because every market, every city needs an Orange Whip. Helps those entrepreneurs and founders scale and grow. We've done all the hard work for founders, so they only need to go to one trusted source to find the local information they need. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My friends and family call me JJ. I'm the founder of Orange Whip and will be your host today. And very excited to have another fun colleague here locally. We have Emilio Garcia with Boundify.
How are you,
Welcome,
Jennifer?
Emilio.
Oh, thank you for the
Welcome.
invitation.
I'm so excited you're here with us, and I love the name of your company, by the way, Boundify.
Bountify?
I
Yeah.
love it, and you're also you're probably more professional podcast host as well.
Oh, no, no, by no means. But I do enjoy the format. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if that's your case, but I think it's the best compromise between reading and watching a video, right?
that's
Listening to
right.
it. That's the good.
Listening.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone should have an audio strategy as part of their business, right?
for sure.
That's right. So, why don't you start us out and tell us about your founder journey? How did you start up Boundify and all your other endeavors?
Good, sure. Well, I've been always looking for a way to do, be part of a business somehow since I was younger. And at the time, I was trying to promote another business that I had. This
Mm.
was actually back in Mexico. That's where I'm from. And I was using, newspapers.
Oh,
Newsletter will be
yeah.
fantastic. No, no, no. It was newspapers. And so I stumbled upon Google Ads back
Mm,
then. And so it was something quite new, right? And I am an engineer by trade. So I'm drawn to numbers,
okay.
right? Instantly. And it's like, well, you have this thing that is capable of measuring and give you, data about it. And so I got so excited that I started into uh, Boundify, what will became eventually Boundify that way. Gotta say, very accidental, and therefore I made so many mistakes because it was not formally trained as marketer and definitely not as business owner. So, and I continued to learn, but that's how I got into the industry.
Wow, wow, wow. So, what's inspired? So, you got inspired by just the numbers, kind of the this is new, this is intriguing. That's kind of what inspired you to get into this. Like, dude, you entered into like a chaotic world of media and advertising.
Yes. And it has been full circle, to be honest,
Yeah,
because along the way, I ended up learning that while I was drawn because of data, I learned that this is mostly about humans and psychology and behavior.
that's
It
right.
took me so long to really recognize that. And
Y-
so I remember even describing myself for Boundify as a data driven agency. And now I have toned it down a little bit to data informed, because
Ah,
data will tell you part of the story,
that's right.
but it's really psychology. So it's been interesting how my mind have changed about that. And it took me a long time, because I truly got excited at the beginning, but what you could see on the analytics.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny how, a lot of business owners and brands out there, they do not use data to inform their decisions.
Yes.
And because 'cause I've been doing media for 30 years. I've bought media, that's kinda how I grew up in the agency, and media space. And it's funny, we're consumed with analytics of how are people consuming this, these media platforms and, um, look and deep dive in target audiences and how they, all their different behaviors. And it's funny how working with clients over the course of my lifetime, it's people like to make assumptions of, oh, well, this is how I watch TV, therefore my audience must watch TV, or I
Yeah.
do Google search and this is how I operate. That must mean how everybody operates. And as you know, that is not true.
Yes.
That is not true. So what's been the most rewarding aspect of your journey in starting your business? What's been the most, you know, joy?
Well, I think it's both a pro and at the same time something difficult about being a founder or a business owner, right?
Mm,
There are two things that I discovered. I got drawn into it because of, for sure, I think a lot of founders identify the flexibility, the ability
mm,
to be the master, right, of
right.
your own path and decide where to go. Um, I was before I was, working in a corporation,
Mm,
and I had and still have a ton of ideas and things that I want to explore. And I was always constrained by, you know, my my job title, my role to some
right.
extent. So one of the things that I really enjoy from being a business owner is that you get to choose every day where you put your focus within certain constraints.
Right.
But at the same time, that's a challenge, because the other big thing that I think you agree is that we get into these businesses or founding these endeavors very focused on the craft or the
Mhm.
solution that we want to create. And sometimes we don't consider how impactful is or how important is the dealing with people aspect, right?
Yes.
Dealing with clients, dealing with employees,
Yep.
dealing with vendors, with investors when that apply. So that human aspect
And
is something that I didn't mention very, very well.
it's so funny that you say that. I think we've heard this. That's kind of been a running theme of, we've been, doing 100 podcasts and almost everybody talks about we're really in the people business.
Yes, we are really in the
More
people
more
business.
so than I think we all recognized before we got into it. It's like, yeah, I serve clients and I serve but it's like, no, 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 no. We really do. We are in the people, very much in the people business. Um, okay, so I'm going to ask you. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on this, but what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have of like, oh, I'm going to be a founder. I'm going to start my business, and you're like, oh, whatever you thought, these are myths. Like this, here's the reality. What do you think those myths are that people have about starting their own company or and scaling it?
On
To
scaling.
go beyond just a solopreneur, but actually like, you know, make like creating a business and a brand.
Yes, I think one big one that I'm sure you share with me is on thinking is that all of us start thinking that we might have these statistics in the back end, if we have ever heard them, about the failure rate of
Uh,
businesses, how difficult it is to keep going. Um, but I think all of us, and is the only way that we will keep going on this, keep trying every new generation. We feel I'm different, right?
right.
I It's, yeah, happens to 80% of the entrepreneurs and founders, but I'm not part of that group. I
Right.
think we have very high expectations and
Hmm.
thinking that what we are creating is completely different from what is already out there. Um, so that's one that I think it's a myth, important to cover, that either sometimes you think about what you're doing as very unique, and there's always a way to frame it in a way that, well, you really have a ton of competition.
Right.
I use usually the example of, and applies to all different kinds of businesses, but restaurants. You
Mm.
can say, well, I am the only Asian cuisine plus you fusion with something else in
Right.
town. Yes, but your competition is not just people that are looking for restaurants, it's people that are looking to do something else with
It's the
their free
experience.
time. Yeah,
Right.
the experience.
That's
So
right.
your competition are not only people, places that offer food, but any other experience that you can spend time on. And so there's always a way to compare what you do with a broader set of offers.
Hmm.
I think that's one big one, the how
Yeah.
niche you are. I can say that for me myself very quickly, is that I didn't have any idea of how the landscape for agencies work. It's
Yeah.
a very competitive one.
Oh, very.
Um,
And it's a wide ranging, like, everyone says, you're a digital agency or a marketing agency, but even that is not everyone is the same. You know what I mean?
yes,
And but it's vast, right? It's just where people are spending their money to outsource those marketing efforts.
yes.
Uh, yeah.
The other big one that I would like to share, that is more about a challenge when you're a business owner, when you are
Mm,
still, I don't know if that happened to you, but at least for me, my group of friends and people that I know of, most of them work for a company. And
mhm,
so when you move into this other realm, um, there is this expectation that there's something new happening every month, every year. Like, you are supposed to be doing something different every week, every day. And in reality, there's a ton of, obviously there are very good milestones that you accomplish,
right,
but most of the time it's just work,
right.
right? It's you
You're
gotta
just
you
doing the
gotta
grind.
do the grind, that's it.
Yeah,
And so that's another misconception, I guess, that we get to see, especially on social media, this life that is portrayed about the entrepreneur, of the
right,
founder, right? And these very critical dynamic moments, but the reality is that you just have to do a ton of work.
right. That's right. That's so funny that you said that. When my experience was, I started the marketing agency Bright 10 years ago, and a lot of my, almost my entire circle, family, friend circle, uh, all my colleagues and peers and stuff, they were working for a company, or they were all solo, they were just like gig to gig, working. But you're right. When I launched, it was like, oh, yay. And then it was, okay, what exciting things are you doing? Like, what are you opening? And I'm like, let's see, I cleaned toilets today in our
Yeah.
office.
Yes.
I worked till 3 in the morning on a project because, that's just, and then, yeah, and it was I think the lack of the understanding of, there was nobody. I don't know if you felt that, Emilio, too, of that's how you quickly get into these like isolation moments, because
Yes.
nobody gets it. So when you're like, gosh, I'm struggling here, and, am I going to make it with it, whether it's imposter syndrome or just feeling like, have I made the right decision? What have I'm working harder than I was before, and
Oh, yes.
people are, oh, come on. But that's why you started your business, so you would have more freedom, or like, you can just shut off at 2 o'clock, just don't work. And I'm like, but then I'm not going to get, like, I'm not gonna be able to deliver.
Yes.
Uh, so it was this, I didn't have anybody to turn to, for a long period. It was several years before I really found our local entrepreneurial community, the minority business community.
Yes.
That was like a saving grace. But it was like 5, 6 years after I'd started the company. I was lonely.
Yeah, the same happened to me. I've been little by little building as you said, community of people that are going through the same stages and
Mm.
the same pain points and struggles, and that really helps. Because, as you said, it's not that others don't care;
Right.
it's just that they can relate, and it's
Right.
understandable. So you have to find a group of people that are in different stages of that path, uh, and find a way to communicate and see that you're not alone, as you said.
That's right. It feels so good when you feel like, okay, good. Other people are going through this.
Yes.
Oh, and how did you overcome that? That was, how did you attack that? That was my favorite questions that I would ask. So, okay, so our mantra is where aha meets oh shit, Emilio. So tell us, what has been your biggest like oh shit moment where you're just like, oh no, what have I
Oh
done?
no. Yes. um Going back to that statistics about business failing, um i think I think there are really two causes most of the time, right? There might be more,
Right,
but either the founder or the entrepreneur give up on the effort itself. It's not a passion anymore. I don't want to
right,
use the word give up as saying, I quit. Rather is you really have to want it for so much that you can withstand the ups and downs that will come. So sometimes it's just this, I'm not passionate about this anymore, and you stop. But if you are very passionate about it, and that's not out of the problem, the second common cause is cash, right?
mm,
Is resources, capital.
yeah. Capital
So
hack.
yeah,
uh,
so that's for me my aha, my shit moment was that I was not, I learned that lesson hard.
yeah,
That and to be honest, let me tell you why. The
yeah,
reason why was that I felt that I needed to have a team doing certain functions,
mm,
in this case sales, before really understanding what the product was all about, right? I was
mm,
at that stage that I was trying to offer everything to everyone,
right,
not having clear definition about where our niche was. And so I hired people that struggled so much to close, or when they did, we did a bad job at delivery because we didn't
right,
have, you know, had that product right. So we spent a ton of resources, and we're very hopeful in the way that we manage finances, and quickly found myself struggling with cash. And you can have, profitable businesses that in paper make money.
right.
But if the
But more
balance
money
accounts
is
goes
going
that,
out that way.
yes. So that was a very, very painful event for me. I had to, you know, uh, release the people that I have hired,
Mm,
change. It was a period where I felt like I did a terrible job at forecasting, planning, and
yeah,
properly, dimensioning the work. um, and that's been something that I remember quite well since then. Right, building those cash reserves. You never know what might happen, so that for me has been the biggest one.
the biggest one. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's um, we hear that a lot of in our founder community of, oh, we've got somebody in, that's in your cohort that I coach, and she was so funny. She's like, man, I got these new accounts, but I got to outlay a ton of cash to serve these accounts, and I'm not going to get paid for 90 days, 120 days. She was like, oh no, what do I do? Maybe I should. So even in just that, you're right. You might be bringing clients in, but it's that cash flow that can kill you if you don't have those right, the projections, the access to capital of like, hey, do you have a banking relationship? So you can go down and go, I might need to get a small loan just to help me do a bridge
Yeah,
between, you know, because I got to pay all these people to deliver on these services before I get paid from the client. Um, and it's a hard, like when you go in, or a lot of like I know a lot of founders who survived on credit card,
yes,
um, just maxing out their credit cards until they could get, the payment from the clients in, because like, a lot of us starting out, like no bank would talk to talk to you until you, what, 3 years in?
Yeah.
Sometimes 4 years, they won't even acknowledge your existence.
Yeah, now that you're mentioning the program, there's something that I learned from there related to finance that
Mm,
it is very powerful. And the comment from the coach was the growth of your company is being founded or funded by someone,
mhm.
and the entities that can fund that growth are um, banks, right? Loans.
Right,
You either loan it out to grow, someone invest, which for some businesses like service businesses
right,
is not as feasible, right? So you're building a product and a kind of like a SaaS product company.
right.
Yes, you will get investors, but in our case, we get funded by the client in the form of sales, and so
Yeah,
that will be the third source,
right,
right? Or you're being funded by clients and providers and vendors by your terms,
right,
right?
right,
Of what terms do you have? So you have to ask that question as a founder: where am I getting funding? Am
right,
I getting funding from loans and paying interest? Am I getting funding from investors, which will be great if you can get equity, right?
right.
Patient capital, I call it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's
very
good.
patient
That's
capital,
very patient.
very patient capital if you can get it, but probably you can't, or you shouldn't do the loan part as much as possible, and then you have to find a way to get funded by your own clients as you
Right.
grow, because if you don't have that set up, then you get more and more debt the more and more you sell,
That's
which
right.
is very counterintuitive, but
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Knowing your numbers, right?
and your
It's
numbers.
knowing the numbers. So I know you just talked about some aha moments. Was there another aha, like those big breakthrough moments that you had with your business?
Yeah. The second one is talking about that, picking a niche.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not where I want to just yet, but I feel that I'm getting better and better. There's so many benefits to that.
Mm,
The biggest fear that we have, I guess, for products is slightly different, but especially for services, I feel, is that we will lose opportunity.
yeah.
But I use the example of if we were selling something physical, there's so many things that you wouldn't say yes to, right?
Right.
If
Right.
you were a landscaper and someone asked you to build a bridge, you will say, well, I don't have the tools and I don't have the knowledge.
Right.
But when we are selling services, it feels so easy to say yes to the next thing just because
Well,
I will figure it out.
we'll figure it out. That's right.
Yeah, I will figure it out. But you are losing on building patterns, right? On
Mm,
building knowledge on something that you see time and time again and can say,
yeah.
yes, I can relate to that. So niching for me as being something important.
Mm,
And I think it took me a while to recognize that we are getting better. And the one that is the latest that I'm just starting this year is documenting, processes
oh
across
yeah.
your operations. Is I've been so stubborn about that one. I have all here in my head.
Mm,
I keep telling things to my team just in the form of conversations, and I finally pulled the trigger and putting, a system to document,
right.
because if you cannot do that, you will never be able to spend more time doing something else and running the business.
Right. 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 Well, and also that way you can make sure that the process you've hit all the um, those details. I mean, we were just talking about that internally here of like we're trying to launch another product here, and it's like, what is that? What's the operating process of who has to see it? What are the steps? How do we do QC? And then once it's kind, who does what? What are the roles? What's the timing? Because once you map it all out, then it becomes okay. Now we can. It runs like on autopilot
Yes,
versus if not, you're just repeating the same, like running into the same wall, and we call it, we're like, that's friction. So
yeah,
what we try to do is everything is like, well, how do we remove the friction?
friction. I love it.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at my Chandler over here. Because we were just having that conversation of like, did we map that out? No, we haven't mapped it out. Well, we need to map it out because it's friction.
That's
Um,
friction.
so I was going to touch base on something that you said. That'll come back to me. Okay, if you could hit rewind on anything, Amelia, is there anything you would do differently in your journey?
Yes, for sure. The first one is that one that I was talking about. If I were to start the agency all over again, I will invest way more time understanding what will be my niche from the beginning,
Mm.
right?
So
Starting
your
with
brand, right? What is our brand?
what is our brand? What do we do? Who do we serve? What
Mm.
makes us different?
Yeah.
Right. I will start with that for sure.
Yeah.
The other one, which is related to that, part of the cash and the roles and all that, it will be I will be slower at hiring as I
Mm.
did at the beginning. I wanted to hire, like the team as I have everything in place, what I needed to learn, right? So I will do that differently for sure. Those are the things I believe
Yeah.
I will do differently.
So let me ask, so I know that the staff changes and all that was because, you just got caught up in it and said, okay, I need to now, you know, scale back a little bit, kind of start over. Was it just a cash flow money thing, or do you feel like you would hire even differently, um, based on like people, uh, personality and traits and all that? Well, did you have any people management skills that were challenging, or people, uh, did you run into any of that, or were you like, man, we had really, really good people, I just couldn't keep them?
Yeah. I first of all I want to say that another big lesson is, and we were having these conversations actually in the MBA that we were doing,
Yeah.
the minority group, is um the first hires that I did, I was trying to run the hiring process
Mm.
myself, all of it, right? Posting the description and going through the hiring process and all that. And the last one, I run it through a hiring agency, right?
Ah,
And it was obviously scary at the beginning because you're, well, I'm gonna invest this extra money
right.
on finding someone, but I think it's worth it.
Mm.
Worth it, at least not necessarily that you do it all the time, but if you're gonna do it for a position that you really want to lay out the foundation
Yeah.
clearly on how that person will align with what your company is all about, and as you said, not just the abilities, but
Right.
more of the soft skills and how compatible they are with your culture and those kind of things. I think it's worth exploring,
Mm.
because someone that focus on that will help you understand, or at least present what you are trying to accomplish in the proper way. So that's a thing that I will do differently on hiring.
Ah,
Um,
so you
yeah,
would go, it was a lot of time consuming onto you, so you really appreciated bringing somebody in to kinda take that weight off of you
yeah,
and filter.
and filter. That's right. Because of the fact, I don't know if every founder would identify with that, but because of the fact that you don't want to invest so much time on that filtering,
Mhm.
then you don't properly invest the time on trying to find the right person, right?
Right.
It's an important decision. um I can say that if you hire good or bad, that decision will stay with you for many years, right?
Right.
If you don't act on it. So, and I think it's more impactful in smaller teams and larger ones, right?
Mm.
Larger corporations and companies,
Yeah.
if they make a mistake in hiring, they can correct it with minimal impact.
Right.
For
It hurt.
smaller companies,
Whew. It
yeah,
you
it's
better be
tough.
right. Yeah.
Yes, you better be right. So I think it's worth investing the time if you are not comfortable with that process from whatever experience you had in the past,
Right.
which was my case, right? I was not comfortable or experienced on the whole, recurring human resources part. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was an aha moment for me in the last few years of we were too quick to hire, and we didn't fire fast enough, and now we flipped that of
yeah,
we're very slow to hire, and I think we're quicker
too high.
to remove,
Yeah,
exit
yeah, and
exit
I don't
those
want.
that aren't working.
And I don't want to give the impression that you want to hire someone because you're going to delegate 100%
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
activity. It's not about saying something, "Oh, now I don't have to worry about this thing that I don't like." No, on the contrary, it's really to get involved
Mm.
because that hiring will happen with what you want for the company. It's just
Yeah.
that sometimes it's better to rely on someone who has the expertise to translate what you have in your head
Yes.
into something that really helps you find the right person.
That's right. Oh, that's great. If you could pick two things about your business right now that you could change, what would you change and why?
Ag- Again, probably the biggest one is the process part, right? If I had a
Mm,
magic wand to just
go.
lay out all the
All
documentation.
my standard operating procedures done.
Yes.
Yes, they're a pain to build.
Yeah, that will be one that I will definitely ask the genie, right, for
Yeah,
that
the
wish.
genie.
And the second wish would be, I would like to have a better ladder of offers, right?
Oh,
Again, maybe you relate to this or not, and
yeah,
some other businesses do, but we business owners and founders, entrepreneurs might have this, our star offer, the
yep.
one thing that we want to sell or promote in the marketplace. But there's a ton of prospects that aren't ready for that,
Mhm.
right? That they
Right,
might be in the future, and you lose them because you don't have some other offers down
right.
the road where they can help themselves or learn a little bit more about how you do the things that you do to
Yeah,
build that trust. And so, but it's time consuming. It's
yeah,
hard because, as you said, right, you have to build those SOPs on the back end to really build
that's
a
right.
great experience.
And
Um,
figure out make sure that you make money on those.
yes, make them
Yes,
profitable.
make them profitable, which is
Yeah,
for a service base, there's a lot of factors. I don't think people realize how many factors go into making sure that you got to put those guardrails up.
yeah,
So Amelia, I think you'll appreciate this. This was another, like, for me, an aha moment that I've had over the last couple of years. For a long time, the first 8 years of our business, we were just like, here's our, these are the things that we do. And we would customize every proposal, scope of work, for clients. And I would, it was recommended of, okay, no, make it easier for people to really understand what you do. So a couple of years ago, we started laying out to go, okay, we've got, I want to say like 5 packages, but they were, if you want, branding and you need like a brand identity, here's a package. If you need media services, here's a package. If you need earned media and public relations, here's a package. If you need content, here's a pack. But it was dispersed across our offerings. And about a year ago, or actually 6 months ago, it's been a little bit recent. Someone was like, "Well, Jennifer, you need to like tighten your packages so that it's a ladder."
mm,
Amelia, it's almost like you were saying, but they're like, "What's the ideal of relationship you want?" And then scale the packages down, but they're all related to each other. So it's like the bottom rung would be this is how they get in to try you.
yeah,
But if they want a little bit more services, then they go to the next level. And I was like, ugh. I mean, I'm in marketing and I was like, I didn't even think, I'm thinking, let's give them a taste of a little bit of everything that we do
yeah,
versus having it more methodical of you want to get in here, we can do, oh, you want a little bit more, we'll put you there. We want more, put you there. And that's how we've redesigned. They seem to be resonating with our clients. But yeah, it's like we're marketing and branding. Even though we're in it every day, we're too close to it even for ourselves, and
yeah.
we need some outsiders to kind of go slap us up beside the head to go. You should know better than this. I'm like, I know I should, but um,
It's hard. It's
it
hard
is hard to ma- to get people to think outside, to force you to think
outside of the
differently.
box.
And a lot of it is because I grew up in the agency side, traditional, and that's how we always operated. You worked
Right.
out like, um, coming from a big agency, they didn't have packages. They didn't have, it was tell us what you'd like. And, they do a request for an RFP, a request for proposal, and we will react to that.
Yes.
Um, and now we're trying to come out of that to go, no, 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 no. We've designed some things that is easier to work with us.
A
So the fact
productized
that
service.
yes, I'm like, duh, that was
Yeah,
so hard.
there's a ton of experimentation that happens there, but yes, I agree with you that you have to be mindful of the buckets where your client puts you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your offers kind of create those buckets, and even if you have these other things that you do, if they try you out for this, as you say, with
Right.
this package, it's very hard for them to see you doing something different.
Right.
So it's better. The idea that you're saying is that better if I offer you a comprehensive view, if even this is a smaller version,
Right.
than just a part of it here and a part of it there.
That's right. Yeah. So it's been interesting that my journey too. It's like we have the same journey. We're learning.
We're learning.
Um, so okay, what do you think um that we would that our listeners or I would be surprised to find out about you? This is not on your LinkedIn, it's not on your website, but what's something that people would be really surprised to learn about you?
Oh, oh, that's a tough one. Some I don't have a ton of, I guess things that will be surprising. But what would be? I don't know. I guess one would be that I really really enjoy um time with my, like in activities that you only involve in me, right? I'm very, what would
Ah,
be the word? I enjoy being around people and all that, but I'm very comfortable with myself.
that's right. So you're
Right.
an introvert, right?
Yes, I am an introvert. That's it. And so probably that won't show up out there
Yeah.
because I say people that I'm a trained extrovert, right? I
Yes. I
practice
say the
this.
same thing. I'm an introvert. I'm a wallflower. Don't make me like go, but I like to be, I can be around people. Um, I'm not shy. I
Yes.
just, I just prefer to, yeah, to kind of
Spend time with me. So
spend time
therefore,
with me.
most of my interests are of that kind. I enjoy a lot reading, some
Mm,
music. I like a lot of history and in general. And another thing is that in another life I will be more involved in economics. I have
ah,
something to have discovered now.
yeah.
Um, so I really enjoy economics. So that
Ah,
there you go. Maybe
there
that's
you
something
go.
that is
That's a
not.
good one.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you deal? Because I know it's stressful business. How do you deal with stress? What do you do at your free time?
Well, first of all, I'm father of two kids,
Mm,
now
well,
teenagers
there you go.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a ton of distraction there. They are both soccer players,
Oh
so
my gosh. So you
there's
were
a
busy.
yeah, we are busy going around town and sometimes outside town on games. That's one for sure. Um, Another one is that I happen to have a little pet, a dog
Uh,
that I enjoy taking on walks, and
by
I get
yourself. You're
yeah,
like, that's it. That's your
that's it.
companion.
Yes. So I enjoy that, and I try to make along the way time with obviously my wife and
Mm,
friends to distract yourself
right.
from the business, which is hard because um, I work from home. Part of the reason is because when I started the agency, I was in Mexico and then I moved into the US.
Mm,
So my clients were remote. It
yeah.
was the easiest thing to do. And
That
then
was
when I started,
nice.
yeah, then when I started getting business here, I kind of continue that and have to force myself to go to events and things like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I know I feel like I'm still in COVID mode. When
Oh,
I go out,
yes.
I'm like, oh, I got to get out of that. But they're like, Jennifer, COVID ended a couple years ago. I'm like, I know, but I, I still sheltered myself even for a few years after it was safe to come out. Um, so who do you think is or do you have a cheerleader in your life? Like, who do you think is your biggest cheerleader?
Well, you little by little, my kids, especially the oldest,
Mm,
is like learning more about what I do.
yeah.
The other day, he just went and stuck around the website actually. And
Ah,
he ended up finding the author page of the website, and it's like, where you mention us here like we are crazy. We're not crazy. And so there I feel like especially all both of them, right, are excited about the business. Obviously my wife as well. I have a partner,
mm,
so we is someone which obviously we are always talking
right.
and having conversations about that. So, and as you said, I trying to build a larger group of people that I
Mm,
can have conversations and relate to. So yeah, hopefully or thankfully I feel that I have a larger group of people now than
of
at the
people
beginning.
cheering you on. That's
Yes.
right. That's right. Okay, you said that you read. You're a reader.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
and gotta clarify.
Yeah.
I my reading is a ton of audiobooks.
Ah,
So
so
my
you're
mode is that I
mhm,
I I read a ton of books or listen to a ton of books that
yeah.
way, and the ones that I really really like, I usually buy and kind of reread. Right,
Yeah.
and that's kind of
So
the
is it a specific genre? Are you like a business book reader, or you're like, no, 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 I like my fiction. What are
it shifts. For periods it has been fiction, and when it's fiction it's usually sci-fi or
uh-huh.
things like
Yeah.
that. And then sometimes I focus a ton on biographies.
Mm,
History is one that I come back and again.
yeah.
Lately, as I was saying, it's been economics. And the other one that I really enjoy is in general psychology topics, because again, for at least for
About
what we
people.
do, it's super important.
Yeah, how to read people,
Mhm.
negotiate. How do you negotiate?
Negotiations.
Oof,
Yes.
oof. Um, so what would you want your company like if we, fast forward a year from now, what would your company look like differently?
Um,
How different would it look like?
I think at least for this year, the biggest one will be we will have, if not completely, at least the beginning of a great system for documenting and keeping
Mm,
up our processes.
yeah.
That's number one. I feel that we're putting a ton of effort on that,
Mm,
and it's important. Um, I want to do a better job as well in making clear our offer and having that ladder or bundles or stages of our services. I think
yeah.
that's the second one. So those two things are for me the priority for this year for sure.
Oh, fantastic. What is the best advice that you've gotten as a founder that actually influenced your own decision making for your business? What's the best advice you've gotten?
Mm, interesting. I will say the biggest advice will be positioning.
Mm,
I'm sorry I coming back to that one,
no,
but
that's a good one.
positioning, right? Understanding what is your position and making crystal clear for yourself, for your potential clients, for your employees.
Mhm.
So, what is it that you're about? Is the hardest thing to do,
It is. It takes
and
brain sweat. It
yes.
takes a lot of brain sweat, but
So
not
I
too much.
Yeah, and it has this tremendous effect because, for example, what I tell to clients, and probably you agree with this man as well, position is important because, for example, if you think about your go-to-market strategy
Mhm.
as a as a company, it makes it so way simpler, right? Because
Yes.
then your audience strengths, your
Yes.
core messages uh, s- become very crystal clear. So it has it will make simpler every all the processes that you have built you're going to build are going to be smaller in number and simpler. So that for me is the biggest advice that I have received.
Yeah. It's funny. We work with, we talk to founders every day through the media company Orange Whip, but also we serve clients on the marketing side. And that is, I feel like we've become being called like the fix it agency because we get these, large companies and it's like even some of the larger, when I say larger, like they're 250 million, they're, $500 million. They're not these, you know, less than 10 million.
Yes.
Um, But even the less than 10 million need to, they would be so much faster scalable. That's terrible English. I'm so sorry. They would be scalable faster if they took the time to go, what is my brand? Like, what is my message? How do I want to be positioned? How do I want to develop? My, like, what's my vision? How do I want to inspire people? What's the impact I want to put on the world? What's my value proposition? How do I, like you said, what problem am I solving? Um, and is it different? Is it
Yeah.
relevant? Is it unique? And a lot of a lot of companies can scale and go to that 250 million and have never done truly that. They've just kind of rode a market.
Yeah.
Um, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I've hit a plateau. Oh, it must be I'm not advertising right, or I'm not doing something well in marketing. I'm like, we come back and go, you didn't develop your brand. Like we
Yes.
got to, we need to spend some time here. And if just companies would do that at the beginning, as they're young, and they're really trying to figure out the scalability, just taking like your advice and going, do that brain sweat, do that homework, figure it out, because it affects so much moving forward, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You're back.
Am I back? All right. Am I back? Here we go.
Yes.
My I need to get a new wire for this microphone because it pops out like way too often. All right, I've got one last question for Emilio. Um, I ask this on every entrepreneur and every founder that comes on the show,
All
and
right.
also through the ones that we talk to across the state. But if you had to sum up your entrepreneurial journey, your founder journey, in just one word, what would be your word and why?
Mm-hmm. Mm. I'll say learning.
Learning.
Learning. It's been a learning. I have to use one word, but I don't know how to say
Yeah,
learning journey. But yeah, learning. I can see myself as not knowing what I didn't know back then, right?
yeah,
And it's still right now, at least now I know that exists that boundary of all the things that I don't know that I don't know. Um, and It's been a continuous journey on learning, and to be honest, that's part of what makes it very appealing. I
yeah.
enjoy learning, and so I'm excited about the future of the company just because of that. I'm sure that whatever I know right now will just take me so far, and I will have to learn more things to go to the next
That's
level
right.
because what I know right now will not be enough. So I'm excited about that part.
Yeah. That is you're right. It is the journey of learning of you don't know what you don't know. And the things that you learn today, you apply it for tomorrow and you just keep, if you hit a wall, you learn how to get around the wall.
Yes.
You just climb over. As we say, you just keep going forward. Whether, if you're failing, you just fail forward. You
Yes.
just keep going. Um, oh, well, this was great. I loved our conversation.
Thank you. The
Um,
same,
bef-
Jennifer.
Before we leave, you got to tell listeners and our viewers where to find you and connect with you. Or if there's an offer that you have for folks, tell us what that is. But how do you want people to reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. In social media, the place where I spend time is LinkedIn. The name
Aha.
is Emilio Garcia, right? If you search it up, you will find me there. That's where I spend most of the time and have the greatest network, if you want to call it that way.
Mhm.
So LinkedIn, connect with me. I typically share content around demand generation, which is what
Yeah.
we do. And so if you want to learn more about us, the website and the company is called Boundify. And we have also a demand generation kind of pillar of content is called Demand Gen Studio. It's
Hmm.
a podcast and live series. And as you might imagine, is
Yeah.
focused on demand generation professionals. So if you're a B2B marketer, especially if you're a demand generation specialist,
Mhm.
you will be interested in that. So that's the offer.
I love it. And I love the name Boundify. That's so
Thank you.
great. Um, and I appreciate hanging out with us, and it's been great, so good, and we'll have to connect in real life. Do a little
Yes,
high
no,
five.
I really appreciate the invitation, Jennifer. I also had a great time, and I hope that listeners will find this of value. So thank you for the invite. And yes, we have to get some coffee or
That's
something like that.
right. We'll do that. Absolutely. And thank you for everyone listening and watching us and joining us today. This podcast episode will be published on Sunday, May 26th. And it'll be available on your favorite podcast platform. So look for us in a couple of weeks. Subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, comment, and share this great content. Help us grow and build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That is Orange Whip, WIP for work in progress. We are a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are 100% free. We are ad supported. We're just a one-stop content hub for founders, and we deliver content every week in a newsletter. It's just a name and email to subscribe. We are currently again in 3 areas of South Carolina, the upstate, Midlands, and Low Country, with goals to expand to be in 30 markets in around 5 years. So every city needs an Orange Whip. Make sure that we're the connective tissue in that market. Check out the latest edition. We were so excited of the local magazines, digital magazines that we produced. We launched those. What was it? A week ago, Chandler? Week or two ago. It is actually celebrating Hello Chaos, the podcast, because we achieved 100 episodes, and we wanted to celebrate that and celebrate the one word that defines these journeys, which are all very different. And I love it. So go subscribe, go support us, take a read. It's great. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, send us an email at hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It's where aha meets oh shit. I am your host, Jennifer Sutton, and we will see you again next week.